Are you ready to learn this? To do that, we'll focus on the Rive state machine to add interactivity and link existing animations. To follow the tutorial step by step, you can access the project file in the description. Are you ready to be updated, Mega Man?
Let's go!
Let's see all the animations we already have inside our Rive project. For Mega Man, we have the idle animation that is played in loop until we click on the button. The Mega Man to shoot will be the transition that will be played on click. And the Mega Man shoot animation that will be played right after the transition and each time we click on the button again. Mega Man to idle animation will only be used to achieve a smooth transition after shooting. Also, the button has 3 animations: the idle animation, the hover animation, and the click animation. So first, we will start to create this simple interaction. We will do it step by step, so don't worry. First, let's name the layer of the state machine and call it button. Everything we will do in this layer will only manage the button part. And later, we'll create a new layer to manage Mega Man, but let's focus on the button part. Okay, so let's see what happens if I put an animation into my state machine. It creates a new state. But if I hit play, nothing happened.
Huh?
We can see that we are stuck in the entry state. It's normal. When we launch a state machine, entry is always the first state we enter in. Don't pay attention to the any and the exit state. We will not use this in this tutorial. So now we have the first animation in the state machine. Let's connect the entry by drag a line between them. Okay, now we are automatically in the idle state, which is that we want for now. Then we want to enter in the hover state when the mouse over the button. To do that, we need to create a condition. By clicking on the arrow, we can access to a condition tab, but we cannot select anything. At this step, we need to create a listener that will allow the condition. The condition needs an input, and a listener can change the value of this input, which is the center of the shim. It's the first step for us. Let's create an input that will represent the state of the button. We have a choice of 3 different types of inputs. A boolean can hold either a true or false value. Triggers are similar to booleans, but can only become true for a short time. And the number input gives you a number box that can be any integer. In our case, we can choose a boolean and define false by default, and true when the button is over. Now let's create a listener that will listen to the mouse and set the value of is over, depend if the mouse over the button or not. To achieve that, a listener takes multiple parameters. The target is the element that the listener will watch and check if an event will happen to it. So in our case, we will choose the global shape of the button. Now we can choose to listen to pointer enter event, which means that the cursor coordinate will enter the button's one. Finally, we can decide what will happen to the chosen input. We want to change the value of is over to true if the event happens. This way, we have the right elements to build our condition in this state machine. It reacts well, but visually we need to create a transition between these 2 states. Let's increase the duration property. To return to the rest state when the pointer is out, it's exactly the same thing as before, so let's do it a little faster. Let's see the results. Perfect! What do you think about it, Mega Man?
Let's get this over with!
In order to finish the button part, we have to add the possibility to click on it. Now we understand the process of listener input condition, it will be easier. The only one difference is that we will use a trigger input instead of the boolean, because when you click on a button, you want to be able to click on again soon, and so let the input free just after a trigger. Add the button click animation. Then we add an isClick input. Create a listener on pointer down event, which is a click, and select the button as a target, just like before. And define the condition. After a click, we want to come back to hover state to let the ability to click again if we still hover the button. For this, we need to use an exit time condition, which means that we will exit automatically the current state after some time. Let's just quickly check if everything is fine with our state machine. Okay, great, we are done with the button. We can now do the Mega Man part. We already have all the inputs and listeners that we need because Mega Man will just react the same as the button, but with intermediate steps for smoothing the complex animation. To make it clear, we can create a new layer for the state machine. A layer just allows us to manage multiple systems independently at the same time. In our case, one for the button and one for Mega Man. We can start adding the idle animation, which will be the idle state, so the first state. Then, on a click, we want the Mega Man shoot animation. But to have a proper animation, I added a to-shoot transition. We will use that. Once we verified everything works, we want Mega Man to shoot again on click, but without the transition animation, because Mega Man is already in a shoot pose. To make him shoot every time we hit the button again, we can use a simple trick. Duplicate the shoot animation and the condition. The ultimate step left is to make Mega Man comes back to the idle animation after some times without shooting. I also created an animation for that case. It's called the Mega Man to idle. We want that no matter the shoot state Mega Man is, to go to Mega Man to idle animation, so we'll add multiple connections. The condition will be the same as we use for the button after the click, which is a simple exit time. Let's put 1.5 seconds this time. Finally, after the Mega Man to idle animation, we naturally comes back to the first state, Mega Man idle, with an exit time of 200 milliseconds, which is basically the length of Mega Man to idle animation. And yeah, we did it! We've made the state machine includes all the basic features. If you want to upgrade Mega Man even more, download the project file on my Gumroad or just use my Rive community link and try to add a chat shot, blinking eyes or whatever you want. It's the best way to practice and progress. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope it helps you to understand the core principle of Rive. I literally just love this app, so I will continue doing tutorials like that. Subscribe and see you the next time!